YB tell everybody to clear the room. And YB look at me. I never said this online. And YB like, yo, all right, let's fight, nigga.
And you wanted to fight YB one-on-one.
DJ Akademiks just got humiliated by NBA YoungBoy, and the leaked footage got the whole hip-hop world losing its mind right now. Imagine this. AK flies all the way to Utah, thinking it's all love, walking into YoungBoy's mansion, expecting a friendly interview. But what went down next had grown men speechless. The video shows YB clearing out the whole room, locking eyes with AK, tears streaming down his face, and then dropping something so raw, so real, it changed how everyone sees both of them forever. This wasn't just a heated moment, this was an expose on how the game really works. Backdoor deals, fake loyalty, industry snakes. The same folks who build you up will tear you down the moment it benefits them. You're not ready for what's about to be revealed, because this goes way deeper than a simple beef. What happened in that Utah mansion pulled the mask off the industry and showed who's really running things. Now everybody's scrambling, trying to act cool with YoungBoy again, trying to ride his wave now that he's proven he's the real king of this rap game. But to understand how we got here, we gotta rewind to when the industry tried to cancel him completely. Before that emotional Utah showdown, you need to see the bigger picture. This was never just about AK and YB. This was about a full-blown conspiracy to blackball one of the most talented rappers of this generation. And at the center of it all, Lil Durk. By 2023, the whole hip-hop scene had basically picked sides in the YoungBoy versus Durk drama, and guess who the industry crowned? Durk. We're talking record labels, blogs, streaming platforms, award shows. Everyone moved like YoungBoy was radioactive, while Durk got treated like royalty. The bias was crazy. YB would drop straight heat, break streaming records, and still get no love from the big publications or award shows. Meanwhile, Durk got every feature, every nomination, and every handshake the industry could offer. It looked like a coordinated takedown, like they were trying to erase YoungBoy from the conversation completely. And guess who was caught right in the middle of it all? DJ Akademiks, one of YB's earliest and loudest supporters. That's when things started getting weird. AK began moving different. Instead of staying loyal or even neutral toward the artist who helped build his whole platform, he started making moves that made it look like he'd picked a side. And in YoungBoy's mind, that side sure wasn't his. That's when the fake energy really hit hard. YoungBoy wasn't just losing industry support, he was losing people he once called family. Folks who had been with him since day one started acting brand new, and AK's switch-up was the one that cut the deepest. So what really brought AK to Utah? Let's break it down. In November 2023, DJ Akademiks didn't just wake up and decide to fly across the country for no reason. This trip had a plan behind it. He reached out about doing a podcast interview with YB, trying to score another exclusive. Since YoungBoy had been laying low in his Utah mansion, it made sense for AK to come to him. On paper, it was supposed to be business as usual, one of those deep interviews AK's known for, where artists open up about their music, their beefs, their struggles. AK probably thought it was just another day, another viral clip, another easy bag. But YB had something else in mind, something real. Months of pain, betrayal, and bottled-up frustration were about to explode. Every time AK went on his stream talking slick about YB's numbers, every time he showed love to YB's ops or downplayed his success, YoungBoy was watching and remembering. So when AK pulled up to that Utah mansion thinking he was about to do his usual interview, he had no idea he was stepping into an emotional showdown. This wasn't content, this was closure. And that Utah setting? It mattered. YoungBoy's spot is tucked deep in the Gravedigger Mountains, far away from all the fake smiles and industry games. That's his sanctuary, his place to breathe and focus without the noise. So, when AK took that trip all the way out there, he probably thought it was just dedication to the job. But for YB, it meant something way deeper. It was time to finally speak his truth face to face. The second AK stepped through those doors, the energy shifted. No smiles, no friendly banter, just straight tension. You could feel it in the air. YB had been waiting for that exact moment, ready to say everything he'd been holding back for months. When it came time to start the interview, that's when YoungBoy made a move nobody saw coming. Instead of sitting down for a regular talk, he looked around the room and told his whole team security, friends, everyone, clear out. The energy instantly shifted. This wasn't about content anymore, this was personal. YB wanted privacy for what was about to go down. And at that moment, AK probably realized this wasn't going to be the easy interview he'd expected. It was about to get real heavy. Then came the moment that stunned everyone. YoungBoy looked AK straight in the eyes, and you could see it. Tears. Real ones. One of the toughest rappers alive, a man who's faced shootouts, courtrooms, and the entire industry getting emotional over how AK had been treating him. "You've been supporting me since I was 16, YoungBoy told him. Let that sink in. This wasn't some random connection. YB remembered when AK was one of the first people to ever show him love. Back when he was just a hungry kid from Baton Rouge trying to make it out. That loyalty ran deep, and you could feel the history in that room. Then YoungBoy said something that hit even harder. He admitted he used to dream about being featured on AK's platform. Imagine that! The same artist who's now one of the biggest independent names in hip-hop once just wanted Akademiks to notice him. He broke it all down, how much AK's early support meant when nobody else cared, when the industry ignored him, when all he had was raw talent and a dream. Back then, AK's platform was one of the only places giving him a real shot at exposure. That cosign helped YB build his fan base brick by brick until he became unstoppable. But that moment, those tears, that confession, it wasn't just about gratitude. It was the calm before the storm. Because what came next turned the whole conversation into a heartbreaking story of betrayal. This is where the story takes a dark turn. YoungBoy broke it all down for AK, how fame twisted everything. "Now that I'm rich, you started trolling and talking trash about me. And it hurt," he told him. That's raw honesty right there. Imagine having someone who helped build your name, someone you trusted when you had nothing, then watching that same person try to tear you down in front of millions. That kind of betrayal hits different. YB didn't hold back. He called out specific times. AK crossed the line and man, it was bad. AK had gone on social media clowning YB's album numbers, tweeting that it only sold 35,000 first week. Anybody who knows YB's stats knows that's straight cap. This man always moves serious numbers. But AK was out here making it look like YB was flopping, like his run was over trying to play him publicly. But it didn't stop there, it got way uglier. AK went on his stream and said some wild things, claiming YoungBoy was going to hell with King Von and saying nobody wants to hear his peace music. Then he pushed it even further, telling YB he needed to get back to making devil music if he wanted to sell 100K again. Like, what? That wasn't just disrespect, that was crossing every moral line possible. Think about how twisted that sounds, telling an artist to go back to negativity just to make money. That's not criticism, that's sabotage. YB had been working hard to evolve, to make music with more meaning and less violence, and AK basically mocked that growth. That's the kind of comment that doesn't just sting, it scars. And that King Von comment? That was extra foul. Everyone knows how sensitive that situation is in hip-hop, and AK knew what he was doing. He wanted views, clicks, reactions, but he didn't care how deep that cut someone who genuinely valued his opinion. But the disrespect wasn't even the main problem, it was the pattern. YB felt like AK wasn't just trolling, he was picking sides. Every time a Lil Durk topic came up, AK's energy seemed off, like he was low-key Team Durk. And in 2023, that was a huge deal, because the whole industry was already blackballing YB while lifting Durk up like he was untouchable. To YB, AK's words weren't random, they felt like betrayal from someone who'd switched teams right when the world was already against him. And that's what made it sting even more. AK was supposed to be neutral. As a media personality, his job was to cover hip-hop fairly, not pick sides in beefs. But from YoungBoy's point of view, it looked like AK was leaning toward his biggest rival. And that wasn't just paranoia. The industry's blackballing of YB was real, and it was loud. While Durk was getting Grammy nominations, major collaborations, and all kinds of industry love, YB was being treated like he didn't even exist. This man was pulling better numbers than most of the so-called favorites, yet the award shows ignored him, big blogs barely covered him, and streaming platforms refused to give him the same push. Meanwhile, Durk was being painted as the golden child of Chicago, getting cosigns from legends, front row treatment at every event, and glowing coverage from every outlet. And then came the hardest part, seeing AK, someone who was supposed to be about the culture and raw talent, start feeding into that same narrative. To YoungBoy, that felt like betrayal at its highest level. AK was supposed to stand for real voices, not for industry games or fake alliances. But instead, it looked like he was siding with the same system that tried to erase YB in the first place. The timing made it hit even harder because that was the moment when YB was already feeling isolated, boxed out, and misunderstood by the entire music world. His label situation was messy, collabs were drying up, and the industry was treating him like an outcast. And now, even the people who used to ride for him, including AK, were switching up. That's what broke him. Then came the breaking point, YoungBoy's live response that shook the internet. After AK went on stream talking reckless about devil music and going to hell with King Von, YB had enough. He didn't stay quiet. He grabbed his phone, hit that go live button, and let it all out. That Instagram live was pure emotion, raw, unfiltered, real. You could see the pain in his eyes while he talked about what AK said. He wasn't just angry, he was hurt. This wasn't just a fan or a peer, this was someone he'd respected, someone he thought had his back, and now that same person was tearing him down for clicks and views. YB spoke straight from the heart about how AK's comments got to him, especially the idea that he should go back to violent music just to stay relevant. That line hit deep because YB had been trying to grow, trying to evolve, and hearing someone he admired push him backwards, that's what really broke him. YB opened up like never before, explaining how he'd been trying to grow both as an artist and as a man. But people like AK kept trying to box him in for entertainment. He wasn't trying to be that same wild kid from years ago. He wanted peace, growth, evolution. But the industry, and especially AK, kept trying to pull him back into chaos just to feed the internet. That live exposed how alone YoungBoy really felt in the game. He talked about how folks had switched up, how the same people who once praised him were now acting shady, and how the whole Dirk situation made it feel like the entire hip-hop world was stacked against him. It wasn't just beef, it was isolation. Like he was standing on his own against the entire machine. But what made that live stream hit different was his vulnerability. Instead of yelling or throwing shots, YB spoke from the heart. You could feel the pain when he talked about AK, the same man who once gave him love and support, now turning into someone who mocked him publicly. It was emotional, it was real, and fans saw that immediately. Social media blew up right after. YB's supporters flooded timelines defending him, dragging AK, and calling him out for his disrespect. Hashtags started trending, clips went viral, and suddenly, everyone realized this wasn't just two men beefing. This was bigger. This was about loyalty, power, and how fame can twist even the most genuine bonds. Then came the part that broke everyone's hearts back in that Utah mansion, when both men finally faced the truth. Seeing YB, one of the biggest names in the game, with tears in his eyes, realizing how deep that betrayal cut, was something nobody expected. He wasn't mad at a troll, he was hurt by someone he once saw as a mentor. And AK, he had to sit there, face to face, watching the real cost of his words. This wasn't just some random rapper he was clowning for clicks. This was someone who credited him with helping his career, someone who had looked up to him when nobody else cared. That realization hit hard. Their conversation went deep. YB reminded him about all those early interviews, the social media love, the platform boosts that helped him reach millions. He laid it all out, showing AK just how much that support had meant when he was still grinding his way out the mud. In that moment, AK had to face the truth. His behavior didn't just spark drama, it broke a bond that once meant something real. This wasn't business. It wasn't content. It was two people realizing how fame, ego, and politics can destroy genuine respect, and the tears in YB's eyes said everything. When you're fighting industry politics and feeling completely alone, losing someone who was supposed to be in your corner hits different. AK probably realized right then and there that he had crossed a line that should have never been crossed. Because sitting across from him wasn't just NBA YoungBoy the rapper, it was that same kid from Baton Rouge who once dreamed of being featured on his platform. And here's where the story flips in a way nobody expected. That emotional face-off in Utah wasn't the end of their story. It was actually the start of something new. Sometimes it takes that raw, unfiltered, heart-to-heart moment to break down walls and rebuild trust. Fast forward to 2024, and guess what? The two are cool again. AK's been showing up to YB's shows, they're back on the phone talking regularly, and it's like that tense Utah meeting actually repaired something real between them. Fans couldn't believe it after all that chaos. They managed to bounce back stronger. That's what real men do. They don't run to blogs or throw subs online, they handle their problems face to face. They talk it out, they own their mistakes, and they find a way to move forward. That Utah moment wasn't about clout or cameras. It was about closure, respect, and truth. AK finally understood how badly he'd hurt someone who once looked up to him, and YoungBoy got to let it all out. No filter, no ego, just emotion. That conversation gave both of them space to heal and to see that their issues weren't really about numbers or streams. It was about trust that had been broken and needed to be rebuilt. And now that they found their peace, it proved something major. Their bond was always deeper than just business. When two people share real history, when they've helped each other rise, those connections don't fade easy. Even after betrayal and public drama, Respect can survive if both sides are willing to be honest and vulnerable. But here's where things get really interesting. While AK and YB patched things up, the whole industry suddenly started trying to make peace with YoungBoy too. After years of blackballing him, ignoring him, and acting like he didn't exist, now everyone's trying to get back on his good side. The same people who once turned their backs are now reaching out, and that's no coincidence. It's because success always flips the script, and YB's value in this game just became too big to ignore. And let's be real, it's not because these folks suddenly grew morals or found loyalty overnight. Nah, it's because YoungBoy is flat out running the rap game right now. The same industry that once tried to blackball him for siding with Lil Durk is now crawling back, desperate to get in his good graces. Why? Because his numbers don't lie. We're talking about non-stop chart toppers, broken streaming records, and a fan base that rides harder than any other in hip-hop. All those award shows that used to ignore him, now they're calling, begging him to show up. The blogs that refuse to post him, they're chasing interviews. And those same artists who once kept their distance out of fear of politics, they're sliding in his DMs again, talking about collabs like nothing ever happened. And that's the wildest part. This full circle moment between AK and YB fits right into that bigger picture. When YoungBoy was fighting his cases, getting blackballed, and feeling like the whole world was against him, everyone disappeared. But now that he's proven he can't be canceled, that he's bigger than the system, suddenly everybody wants to be back in the picture. It's fake love at its finest. The same people who laughed when he was down are now smiling in his face because success makes everyone switch up. But it also shows the power of YB's grind. No matter how much they tried to bury him, his consistency, his hustle, and his authenticity made him too big to ignore. Then came the moment that showed the world their beef was really over, when DJ Akademiks pulled up to one of YoungBoy's shows earlier this year. This wasn't some random visit. This was symbolic. The man who'd once clowned him publicly was now standing front and center, showing love. Surrounded by thousands of fans who knew their whole history, the crowd went crazy when they spotted AK, because that image said everything words couldn't. Here was one of the most powerful voices in hip-hop media, publicly co-signing the same artist he once disrespected. That moment didn't just squash the beef, it sent a clear message to the entire industry that YB's throne was locked in, and no amount of hate could move him. For YoungBoy's fans, seeing AK at that show was pure validation. It proved what they'd been saying all along, that YB's success is undeniable. Even his critics had to admit it. And at the same time, it showed YoungBoy's growth, the ability to forgive, to move past drama, and to focus on the bigger picture. That night wasn't just another concert, it was emotional, powerful, and symbolic of redemption, respect, and evolution. AK finally got to see firsthand the insane energy that follows YoungBoy everywhere he goes. The crowd, the loyalty, the pure chaos. It was like watching a movement, not just a concert. And for YB, seeing AK there wasn't just about showing face, it proved that their reconciliation was real and public. That moment also marked a huge shift in how the entire industry views YoungBoy. When powerful voices like DJ Akademiks start showing him love openly, it sends a clear message: the blackball campaign is crumbling. Once one influential figure breaks ranks, the rest start following like dominoes. Suddenly, showing support for YB isn't controversial anymore, it's the trend. But when you really look at it, this whole story between AK and YoungBoy goes way beyond just a feud and a makeup. It's a full-blown masterclass on how the music industry truly operates. It shows how success can twist relationships, how loyalty gets tested when fame and politics come into play, and how easily the same people who cheered for you can turn into critics when it benefits them. The biggest takeaway? The power of real communication. That emotional showdown in Utah could have easily gone left if ego got in the way. But instead, both men showed raw honesty. They faced their pain, said what needed to be said, and walked away with respect instead of resentment. That's rare in this game. But it's also a reminder: never forget how fast people will flip on you when it's convenient, and how quick they'll come crawling back once you're winning again. The same industry that tried to erase YB is now lining up for his approval. Because at the end of the day, success speaks louder than politics. YoungBoy didn't just survive the blackball, he turned it into proof that no amount of industry power can stop what's real. For AK, this whole situation was a wake-up call, a reminder of just how powerful his platform really is. When you've got millions of people hanging on your every word, you can't just talk reckless without thinking about the impact. What he said about YoungBoy cut deep, and it took a face-to-face, man-to-man conversation to fix that damage. And for YoungBoy, this entire experience reinforced what he's always stood on: staying true to himself no matter what. He didn't switch up, didn't beg for acceptance, didn't chase clout. He just kept dropping music, kept growing his fan base, and let his success do all the talking. That's real power right there. Now that they're cool again with AK showing up at his shows and supporting him publicly, it proves something major. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones you actually care about the most. When there's real history and respect under all the drama, relationships can heal if both sides are willing to be honest and put in the work. This story is blowing up because it's rare to see this kind of raw emotion in hip-hop, especially between a media figure and an artist. It reminds everyone that behind the fame, behind the headlines, these are real humans with real feelings, capable of pain, growth, and forgiveness. That leaked footage from their confrontation isn't just viral because of the shock value. It's viral because it captures something rare: truth. In an industry known for fake alliances and stage beefs, this was real connection, real conversation, real closure. It showed that even in the messiest situations, love and respect can survive if the foundation's solid. At the end of the day, this whole saga isn't just about AK and YB. It's about loyalty, redemption, and the cost of fame. It's about how quickly people can turn on you and how strong you have to be to rise above it. That's all for today, gang. This story had everything: industry politics, betrayal, reconciliation, and the lessons that come with success. If you want more exclusive behind-the-scenes drama and the real stories behind your favorite artist's wildest moments, make sure to like, comment, share, and hit that subscribe button. Stay locked in the streets, always have more stories to tell, and I'll be right here breaking them all down for you.